Joining us now is Councilman Robert Ike, who is running for re-election to a second term. Councilman Ike, good to have you with us.
Great to be here, John.
Now, I know you were scheduled on a couple of weeks ago. My condolences to yourself and your family. Your father passing away a couple weeks ago. I know you guys were really close, and I know seeing you at the wake, I know it's been tough on yourself and your family.
Thanks,
Robert,
John. I appreciate
and I'm sorry.
That. He was a great man.
I know
appreciate
he was.
that.
All right. Our best wishes there and condolences to all. Yesterday, before I went to JoJo's baseball game, we had a chance to read the Sunday Virginia Pilot, and the very liberal left-wing Don Luzzatto and his friends at the Pilot did not give you their editorial left-wing endorsement. Now, if I were you, I would wear that like a badge of honor. To me, there's no question now that I would be voting for Robert Ike because you didn't get the endorsement of the Pilot.
Absolutely, John. I was actually pleased to see that they didn't endorse me to Republican candidates. We consider that the kiss of death in an election. Interesting, though, they did endorse Gene Waters, which, as many people remember, the last time he served on council, he was quite an embarrassment. So their choice of him as a candidate really just speaks to their liberal misunderstandings of what goes on in Chesapeake. Chesapeake has a great city council. You don't see us in the news fighting back and forth like you do some of the other cities. Actually, Chesapeake for the last 3 years in a row has been rated one of the top 10 best managed cities in the United States. And I like to think that when I came on 4 years ago, I had something to do with that rating coming up. We're the sixth safest city in America. That speaks to a great council. I mean, we do a good job. We've had eight years of double-digit business growth, AAA bond ratings. Council's doing a great job, and it's tough. You don't change horses mid-race.
No, look, I think you guys have done a fabulous job. I live in Chesapeake, and it's tough to find issue with anything, really. One of the candidates that is running, David Washington, who is running on the so-called Democratic line, his big issue is that they need to raise the income of municipal employees, and maybe that's always a good thing. But there doesn't seem to be any compelling issues, and as a resident of Chesapeake myself, I'm pretty happy with the way things are going on. There's been no tax increases. The overall balance between development and the good lifestyle of Chesapeake, the balance seems to be there. I don't see, overdevelopment at all. So let's talk about that, Robert Ike. Let's talk about growth. And I know one of the proposals that you've made is along the Dominion area, the new Dominion Bridge, to put some development in there, kind of a mixed use type of a thing. Do you think we have too much growth here?
Well, actually, in the mid-2000s, growth in Chesapeake was at the 3% mark during the housing boom. When I came on council, and to today, growth is at about 1%, which is considered healthy for a city our size. One of the things that people don't realize when they see houses and neighborhoods going up is that back during that housing boom, there were a lot of developments that were already approved, but when the housing prices dropped, they stopped the development. So some of these, neighborhoods you see going in were approved back then, and they're just simply building the houses now that the market appears to be coming back.
Let's talk about transportation and traffic.
Well, we've got some issues with traffic. I agree. Probably one of the biggest we have is the Deep Creek Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway Bridge.
Right.
That's a tough one. We're finally getting close to securing full funding to get that replaced. That's going to take a couple years. Very similar as Dominion Boulevard, the high-rise, or the old steel bridge as we called it. That's coming online. That will pull a lot of traffic out of the Deep Creek AIW Bridge path, as well as the Battlefield and Bypass path. A couple of things that I've initiated as a councilman is permissive flashing left turn arrows. We see them all over the Hampton Roads area, except in Chesapeake, and it really frustrates me when I'm trying to get somewhere and I have to sit in front of a left turn red arrow and there's no traffic coming. So we're going to be changing those out to flashing left turn arrows, and that'll help with some of the traffic flow. I think there's going to be 14 intersections on Battlefield Boulevard that will have them. Military Highway will have them. Portsmouth Boulevard, all of them will become flashing left turn arrows as we move forward. There's right turn arrows, for instance, at Kempsville and Battlefield Boulevard at the Water Tower. It used to be traffic backed up on Kempsville past Clearfield, past the Christian school. But I had traffic engineering put in a permissive right turn green arrow, and traffic barely backs up there at all anymore. So there's things that behind the scenes that are being done as a councilman that really have an effect on transportation. Now, I think our capital improvement plan it's going to be costly. It may take some municipal bonds to do it like a transportation bond offering, where we can get $120 million worth of road improvements started right away. Probably my biggest reason for that is right now, money in the bond market, interest rates are the lowest they have ever been.
So you want to take advantage of those now.
Absolutely.
And look, we need the transportation improvements because some of the roads are bad. If you were able to get that through, Robert Ike, what would be some of your top priorities?
A lot of it would be the main feeder roads: Mount Pleasant Road, Elbow Road, Bruce Road. There's so many competing projects. We actually have a list of them in our capital improvement plan that we would, if we did a road bond type offering, council would really have to go through that list and prioritize and get them moving right away.
Robert, let's get to the mega site at Williams Farm. And I know if you live outside the area, you're like, what? What is that? But if you're in Southeast Virginia, the Chesapeake area, that is going to be big. Can you explain to our audience what that is?
Well, the mega site is actually, it's owned by Frank Williams. He's a farmer. It's been probably second or third generation farmer in that area. And he owns 3,500 acres of land right on the North Carolina line on South 17. It's high ground. There's no wetlands issues. They have access. Any company that located there has full access to the port, access to Raleigh and rail points west. But right now, it's just a field out there all by itself. Now, the city needs to invest in getting utilities down there: water, sewage, electrical, super or mega bit high-speed internet.
Energy.
Yeah, energy. Once that's there, then we'll get serious consideration. I believe we'll have people lining up to try and buy property on Mr. Williams' farm to build their factories or manufacturing. We're looking at companies like Caterpillar, Rolls-Royce jet engine, maybe an automobile plant, something that will bring in thousands and thousands of good, high-paying jobs into the city of Chesapeake. Because the experience we had with sequestration and the last round of BRAC, it hurt Hampton Roads, because the Hampton Roads economy is so military and government spending based. Mm-hmm. If we don't move the city of Chesapeake away from that, depending on that economy, then we're stuck when spending goes down. So having our own manufacturing, our own large group of factories down there would really, really help the economy in Chesapeake.
So how does that happen? I mean, obviously Chesapeake would have to make an investment in there in order to bring the companies in and some of the infrastructure that you talked about. But what would be the steps in that?
Well, first of all, the land itself, the city would have to work with Mr. Williams and secure the land, option the land, or outright purchase the land. I'm not sure exactly what path we would take. And once that land is secured, then the city can safely invest in the money and putting the utilities down there. Now, paying for that, which will probably be around $70 million, can be accomplished by making the mega site a special taxing district, where they are the people that actually build the factories there would pay a very small portion more in taxes and to pay those bonds off that would
So the plan would be the exact opposite of what we're seeing in other cities, where they're asking companies to come in, luring them in by giving them tax incentives. Many people think it's corporate welfare. Chesapeake's plan, on the other hand, or Robert Ike's plan, would be the exact opposite.
That's
That the
correct.
companies that come in would actually have to pay tax plus in order to pay for the infrastructure. But still, with that, because Chesapeake taxes overall are low, you think that would still be enough of incentive to get people in?
Absolutely. Like I said, the access to the port, the access to Raleigh, and probably the big cherry on top of the ice cream is that we have a regional airport a 5-minute drive from this piece of property that's extending their runway. They'll be able to bring in corporate jets. It's going to be a win-win for Chesapeake.
Now, to get the energy down there, how critical would it be to get the Atlantic Coast pipeline done coming to Chesapeake?
Well, that's more of a regional issue. That's the ability to bring more natural gas
Right.
into the region. It would definitely be a plus for the mega site, because I'm sure the usage of natural gas as it's increasing nationally would be used there.
So, Councilman Ike, your vision is to get this done on the Williams Farm, bring in a number of big companies which would offer Chesapeake residents and area residents good-paying jobs. Obviously, you're increasing the pie because people with jobs pay taxes, plus the companies come in, they have to pay taxes. Everybody's paying taxes. So your revenue base goes up, and then you charge the companies a premium to come there to pay for the infrastructure you have to make the investment in. And right now, if you're going to North Carolina on 17 South, everybody knows exactly where that is, because it's about 10 miles of just, there isn't anything there but fields. And so that seems like that would make a lot of sense, because around the area you would also then get housing developments and things like that. And there is no sprawl at all there. Plus, you got that beautiful Highway 17 that goes down there.
It's a 4-lane highway.
It's a
it's
four-lane highway. Now, we just went. We had 2 tournaments at Elizabeth City the past 2 weekends, so we got a chance to drive down there. So I know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's just a straight shot, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I got 3 more minutes. I want to get Councilman Ike to public safety, police, fire, the sheriff. Again, in Chesapeake, there's just no news, right? There doesn't seem to be anything bad going on. But tell us about how public safety is working and what some of your key objectives are.
Well, John, I was a Chesapeake police officer for 11 years, so I know the city very intimately. I've worked a lot of the better areas, some of the areas that aren't that considered that nice, so to speak. My biggest issue now is manpower. Officers are now being reactive. They're going from call to call to call. They're not being proactive. Back when I was a police officer, we patrolled the neighborhoods. We patrolled the business districts. We were very in tune with the area we were assigned to. We knew who the good guys were, who the bad guys were. We knew who to go to if we needed information on a crime that occurred. Now it's the officers just are so overwhelmed that we really need more bodies on the street. The same with the fire department. Our fire department is thin. We need to increase manpower there, as well as the sheriff's department. We're getting ready to begin a jail expansion, and we need some deputies there. One of the things that everybody begins to think when we talk about hiring more officers and firemen and sheriffs is, how are you going to pay for it?
Right.
Well, in 2018, the city of Chesapeake will be renewing a contract with SIPSA. Our tipping fee, which is the fee that's charged by the ton that the city of Chesapeake turns over to the processor, right now is about $125. It's going to drop to about $55, I believe. That equates to a $6.2 million savings for the city of Chesapeake. And that's just not a one-time saving. That's a saving going forward. So it's something that could be used to fund police officers, fund more firemen, more deputies, maybe more city employees where we need them. But I think that'd be a good use for that savings.
So look, if you had $6.5 million, average police officer in Chesapeake with benefits, what, 50,000?
Yeah, 60 to 70 with benefits. You have to figure training, equipment, vehicles, all
Right,
that
60
kind
to
of stuff.
70. So you're talking about 100.
100 would be
Somewhere in there. You could get between sheriff, police, and fire, you could add 100 people. You think that would make a big difference, right?
Absolutely, it would. Yeah.
All right, well, 100 people is 100 people. And look, the job that Chesapeake Police does is awesome. And again, we're in a town with no news, very little controversy, very little of anything, no scandals going on. So you guys have done a fabulous job. I've got about a half a minute. Why should people of Chesapeake reelect Robert Ike next Tuesday to City Council?
Well, I bring an interesting perspective to council as a former police officer, as a military veteran. 27 years ago, I started my business in Chesapeake. I think my perspective on bringing the business thought process to city operations is one of the things that makes me perfect for the position. A lot of things have gone on since I became elected. We created the Business Advisory Panel, which gave the city great input into operations, because you have the city employees versus the business community, and sometimes they don't think alike. And I've been a conduit to get a lot of those things straightened out.
All right, we're out of time. I want to thank Councilman Robert Ike for being with us. He is up for re-election to a second term in Chesapeake. That'll be decided on a municipal election 8 days from today, Tuesday, May 3rd. Robert Ike, if there was any reason to vote for him, he was the only incumbent not to get the endorsement of the left-wing, super liberal editorial page of Don Luzato's Virginian Pilot. So, Don, thanks for re-electing Robert Ike to council in Chesapeake.